don't see any number. Oh, there you go.
All right, okay, let's back up and I'll put this here and not mess with that, okay? There we go. Okay, so solving rational equations, right? Or fractions. We had talked about moving 5 to 1 because we want to check for solutions that won't work. Extraneous are the ones that make Cookie Monster sad. So the first example, what's going to make Cookie Monster sad? If x is 5, because 5 minus 5 is 0, can't divide by 0. And x is 0, okay? So x cannot equal 5, and x cannot equal 0, because if you do, then Cookie Monster will be sad. No friends, no cookies, bad life, right? Okay, so then, if you have a fraction equal to a fraction, what we do is we cross multiply, not cross cancel, cross multiply. The 2x moves all the way over to the 1. The x minus 5 moves all the way to the 7. And I multiply, right? 1 times 2x, 7 times x minus 5. Then I solve, minus 7x minus 7x. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. I get x equals 7. Is that okay? Sure, because our extraneous ones were 5 and 0, so we're okay. That is the right answer, x equals 7. Thumbs up? Awesome. Okay, now example number 2. I like this cross multiplication, right? So we need a fraction equal to a fraction. So what I'm going to do for this problem is let's work on these two. Let's add these two first. And we'll ignore the 17 over 8x first. And then we'll cross multiply, okay? So right off the bat, to add these two fractions, I need a common denominator. The first fraction has an 8 in the denominator. The second fraction has an x. They need to have the same. So I'll multiply the first fraction by x over x. And I'll multiply the second fraction by 8 over 8. So when I do that, I'll have a common denominator of 8x, right? That will be my common denominator, okay? In the numerator, I'll have an x plus 16. There's my 1x, and there's my 16. And of course, that equals my 17 over 8x. Okay, now, here's a really cool trick, and I want to show this to you, okay? Once you get a common denominator for all fractions, I'll say it again. Once you get a common denominator for all fractions, if you were to cross multiply, right, you'd bring the 8 up here, right? But here's a cool little trick. If you were to multiply both sides by 8x over 1, 8x over 1, right? Because what you do to one side, if you do the exact same thing to the other side, it's okay. What's really cool is then it just cancels out your fraction, doesn't it? And then we get a really easy math problem, don't we? A really easy math problem is simply x plus 16 equals 17. So when you get your common denominator for all fractions, you can almost just get rid of your fraction, right? Get rid of your denominator. And now I can just solve minus 16, x equals 1, which is okay. X just couldn't equal 0 up here. X cannot equal 0. X equals 1 is fine. Okay, I like this trick. We're going to see this trick again as we work through some of these problems, okay? Okay, guys, ready for example 5? Well, just a fraction equal to a fraction, right? So what are we going to do? Right? We're going to cross multiply. If you get a fraction equal to a fraction, we'll take the 4, multiply it up here. The x minus 4, multiply it up here, right? We're going to cross multiply. Before I really start, though, x cannot equal 4, right? Agree with that? X can equal 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's cross multiply. I've got a 5 times an x minus 4 equals a 4 times an x minus 3. All right. I'm going to get a 5x minus 20 when I distribute, and I'll get a 4x minus 12 when I distribute. Now it's easy, huh? Just get a minus 4x minus 4x. I get a 1x minus 20 equals negative 12 plus 20 plus 20. I think that's in positive 8, which is fine as long as it's not a 4, right? We're good. 8 works. 4 doesn't, but 8 works, okay? How am I doing? These are pretty easy. Thumbs up so far. All right, now number 4 is going to take a little bit more work, all right? I'm going to try and find a common denominator, okay? Before I do anything on common denominator, What I do know is x cannot equal 1 and x cannot equal negative 1. Okay, you guys agree with that? Okay, x cannot equal 1, x cannot equal negative 1. Okay, so right off the bat, let me factor this. This factors into an x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay, don't really need that anymore. Okay, so over here on the left-hand side of the equation, let's see if we can get a common denominator. So this one doesn't have an x plus 1. This one doesn't have an x minus 1. Let's just give each of those that value. So let's give this one an x plus 1 over x plus 1, the first fraction. The second fraction, let's give it an x minus 1 over an x minus 1. Squeeze it in there. So now I have a common denominator of x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay, that's my common denominator. In the numerator, we'll have a 1x plus 1 plus a 4x minus 4. How am I doing? Okay. And over here I still have this 7 over the x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay. Let's tidy it up a little bit. Okay. I gotta tidy this up a little bit. It's kind of a mess. So let's rewrite this as a 5x minus 3 over my x plus 1, x minus 1 equals 7 over my x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay. Now, and I'm not going to do this, but when I do this, you guys might get to the habit. Once I get it, if I have a common denominator, it's equals, right? I normally just cross it out and get rid of it. Once I'm to this point where I have a common denominator here, I usually just scribble it out. And the reason why is because if you were to multiply both sides by x plus 1, x minus 1, right? On both sides, x plus 1, x minus 1. And I don't do this step. Me personally, I do not do this step because I know that's going to cancel with that and that's going to cancel with that, right? Does that make sense? Once you get that common denominator all the way through, you can just scratch it out, okay? And the reason why is because if I multiply by the common denominator, it will cancel out, okay? Does that make sense? Capiche? Or, one more time, when you get the common denominator all the way across, just get rid of it. Okay, so then let's go down to 5x minus 3 equals 7, right? Plus 3, 5x equals 10. Divide by 5x equals 2. Is 2 okay? Sure it is. What it couldn't be was 1 or negative 1. So 2 is just fine. Okay, that was a little bit harder, right? But not too bad. Turn the page. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. Example 5.
We can't see it.
Well, that's no good, Katie. Example 5, okay? This is a x over 1, right? So what I'm going to do first is try and get a common denominator here, okay? I'm going to rewrite this so it's a little easier to work with, but I have a x over 1 plus an 8 over x equals 6, right? Let's try and make a common denominator here. So I'm going to multiply this one by x over x, right? Multiply this one by let's see. No, I'm wrong. Let's see, x over x. Yeah, that'll work. And that's my common denominator. So then I'm going to have a common denominator of x, of an x squared plus 8 equals 6. How am I doing? Okay. 6 over 1. I don't really need to write 6 over 1, but if you want to cross multiply, there it is, right? So fraction equal to a fraction. Let's cross multiply. Let's cross multiply. Let's make this a x squared plus 8 times 1, but that seems kind of silly, equals 6x. Uh-oh, it looks like it's the F word. That darn F word. We're talking about factor, aren't we? Yeah. So I know math has got a couple of good F words like factor and function, right? So let's take the 6x and put it right there because we need to factor, right? So if I subtract 6x minus 6x, then x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0, right? It does factor, right? X minus 4, x minus 2 equals 0, or, I'm running out of room, or x equals, put on the side, x equals 4, and x equals 2, which I think those are okay, because originally the only thing x could not equal was 0, right? Thumbs up? That was a little bit harder, but we had to factor, but we know how to factor. Okay, example 6. Looks pretty easy, right? Cross multiply, you guys agree? What can x not equal? 3. Now, I don't really want to cross multiply. You don't need to. If I cross multiply, it's more work than I have to do. You know what I'm going to do? Multiply by the common denominator. Do they have a common denominator? Right? So I just cross it out, okay? Or you could, if you want to see it, x minus 3, x minus 3. If you multiply that by both sides, it will cancel, 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 right? It's a nice little trick, isn't it? Makes the problem so much easier. Then I go straight to 3x equals 2x plus 3. There you go. Yes, thank you. Minus 2x minus 2x. X equals 3. Right? Wrong. X cannot equal 3. We got 3. What are we going to do? Undefined or no solution. They both are going to work. No solution. Cookie Monster's sad. Poor Cookie Monster. No cookies. No friends. We divide by 0, right? Okay, we've got 2 more. We're getting there, okay?
There's no homework.
Yeah, there is a little bit. Yeah, I know. There is some. I just forgot to write down there.
I'll see you on paper.
All right, I'm going to rewrite this because I can't hardly see it. 2x minus 9. You can't see it at all. Now you can't see it at all. Plus x over 2 equals 5 over x minus 7. Okay, so one thing I know for sure, x cannot equal 7. Capiche? Everybody agree with that? X cannot equal 7? Okay, let's get a common denominator here. Okay, let's get a common denominator here, right? So I'm going to multiply this equation by 2 over 2. This equation by an x minus 7. X minus 7, right? Get a common denominator between those two. So then my common denominator is going to be a 2 times an x minus 7, right? And let's tidy it up. Let's simplify the numerator. So the numerator is going to give me a 4x minus 18 plus x squared minus 7x okay. How am I doing? Would it be nice if this also had a common denominator? Because then we go like that, right? So let's do that. Let's multiply this one by 2 over 2, right? So I can go, let me tidy this up though first. I'll have an x squared minus a 3x minus an 18 over a 2 times x minus 7 equals a 10 over a 2 times an x minus 7. Did I make a mistake?
No, I don't think you did. I think I'm just not getting it. Why can't you just take the 2 from the other one and multiply it up like you were solving any other equation, then you don't need the other one to have it on the bottom?
You are correct.
So that doesn't change anything?
Nope, you're correct. Because that, once I cancel this out, that's what you would have done anyway.
That's what
Yep,
okay.
Claire, you're completely right, okay? I'm just going to go back. Now, you remember the trick I taught you? If I have a common denominator on both sides, I can just scribble it out, right? And we all know why. Hopefully we know why, okay? So what are we left with, okay? X squared minus 3x minus 18 equals 10. Oh, we're going to have to factor again, aren't we? Minus 10, x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0, right? Am I going too fast? Factor, x minus 7, x plus 4, right? So x is equal to 7 and x is equal to negative 4. But, what are we going to do? Cross out the 7, right? Because way up here we said x cannot equal 7. We got x equals 7. We throw out the 7. We get one answer, and our one answer is the negative 4, okay? Okay, last one. I'm kind of running out of room, so I can probably do the last one on a separate sheet of paper if you guys don't mind. If you have room for it, great. Last one, let's take a look at example 5, 6, 7, 8. Example 8. 2 over x squared minus x. Can you see that? Nope. Now you can. So 8 equals 1 plus 2 over x minus 1. Okay. All right. What do you see? What do you think? First of all, x cannot equal 1 and x cannot equal 0. You okay with that?
We can't see.
And you can't see that. There you go. X can't equal 1 or 0. Yeah, I heard factor. Okay, DeAndre's right. So let's factor this 2 and then x times x minus 1. You okay with that? Equals 1 plus 2 over x minus 1. Okay? Alright. I would really like to get a common denominator all the way through. I really would, okay? So the CD, or the common denominator, really is the x times x minus 1. Do you agree with that? I mean, that's really my common denominator right there, okay? That's my common denominator. So I'm going to need to multiply this fraction by both. X times x minus 1, x times x minus 1, okay? I'm going to multiply this one by x over x, because I really want to get a common denominator all the way through, because then boom, the fraction's gone. This is worth the work, because boom, the fraction's gone. You don't like fractions, do you? So once the fraction's gone, it's just solving for x, okay? So then I'm going to have a 2 over an x times an x minus 1 equals an x squared minus 1x over an x times an x minus 1 plus a 2x over an x times x minus 1, okay? Now, I'm going to point out something to you, okay? Okay, I want you to look. I actually multiplied that one out, didn't I? Because I'm going to have to add and subtract later, right? I left this one as x times x minus 1 because then it looks like the rest, right? Now we have a common denominator all the way through, right? So we can just get rid of the common, just get rid of them, have a common denominator all the way across, and we can prove why that works because we can multiply both sides by the common denominator, which will just simply, boom, cancel. So what do we have left? 2 equals x squared minus a 1x plus a 2x, right? Oh, it looks like that F word again, doesn't it? Doggone it. Let's bring the 2 over. 0 equals x squared. That makes a positive 1x, and that makes a minus 2, right? Factor, factor. Bad looking factor, factor. X, x, positive 2, negative 1, right? X equals negative 2, and x equals 1, right? Wrong, because way up here we said x cannot equal 1, right? So let's go back and throw out the 1, and we just get one answer, x is equal to negative 2. Okay, so homework. Let me go ahead and make sure I put this on there.
We don't have any.
I know, I'm going to have to write it up there so anybody who reads this will know what the homework is. So give me just a second. Just a second to put up the one I want. All right, getting there. All right, hold on. Oh, here we go. Homework. Let's do page 605. Let's do 1 through 11 odd. That's 6 problems. And we have 6 problems. And there's a little story problem in there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and you know what? Instead of doing, I'm sorry, let's do 1 to 9 odd. Change this. 1 to 9 odd. Is that right?
Yes, odd.
Yes, and then I want you to do number 12.
Yes.
And number 12 instead, because number 12 is like your extra credit on your quiz. So let's do 12 instead.
Now you told us.
Well, it's not the exact same problem.